I'm just not sure that Kyler Murray is big enough. This is Tom Brady. He's not just going to retire. Whitey, big fan of the show. Appreciate you calling Ryan Murphy to my left, making sure everything's smooth, crispy, buttery. James Harden is systematically ruining the game of basketball. He's the most overrated player. And there you are, the Chicago Bears with a championship defense. And Mitch, I'm sure Dancing with the Stars is happy to have Antonio back. If you thought you were going to get Zion, that's your bad.
You are now listening to Open Season. Your host, Billy Allen.
All right. You're tuning in on Tuesday night, and it's Billy Allen with Open Season. Bringing around the table of gentlemen, we've got Justin Allain, Alex Tordai, Frankie Bradica, and we are live from Seasons 52, Open Season. We're opening up the phone lines tonight. 617-702-2542 is your number. Oh my God, I almost cleared my throat in the middle of giving out the number. 617-702-2542. And tonight, Tom Brady, this weekend, he took a loss, and it didn't look good. Tampa Bay, we'll be talking about our expectations for them and where they go from here. The coach was giving him a little something, too. Surprised about that. The Browns got crushed 38-6. There was nothing new about that. Debuting another season with a ass-kicking. And the Lakers are on to the Western Conference Finals. Celtics versus the Heat. Who's the best player in the series? We'll be talking all about it. But first, we are going to land on Tampa Bay, Tom Brady. There was so much said about it. Every year there seems to be some team that we just talk way too much about, whether it's the Eagles a few years ago, anointing them champions. Everybody's kind of been anointing Tom Brady, the king of the NFC South. And seems like the Saints got a little bit fed up with that. And Tom Brady not looking too good, throwing a couple turnovers. As we open up the phone lines, we have someone ringing through here. No, we don't. But, gentlemen, what did you think of Tom Brady's debut this weekend against the Saints?
Oh, man. I'm going to take this one to start off, boys. But he looked like Tom Brady of last year. He just looked like a guy that he's a little bit past his prime. He wasn't making the perfect plays. It just wasn't the Tom we were accustomed to seeing. And you can't even make the excuse this team hasn't had a lot of time to gel together. Tom's been running workouts since he signed with Tampa Bay. These guys have been going at it harder than any other team probably in the NFL. Yes, I know this was their first real game together. They didn't get the true training camp. But the majority of this team was brought back or they've brought in Hall of Fame players. Tom, and the rest of that Bucs team, they looked bad. I know Evans supposedly had a hamstring issue. I know that there's, obviously Leonard Fournette coming in, and he hasn't been fully acclimated to the system yet. But Rojo looked better than him in the touches he got. This might be one of the most overhyped teams we've maybe seen in a long time. And I think Tom's not falling off a cliff, but I think he's slowly coming down from that high horse. He's just not quite the player he once was. That's not to say he can't win a championship. They could turn it around, but I just don't know. What do you guys think?
I said on this very show, give them as many weapons as possible. Give Brady no excuses. I want this finger pointing, this middle finger giving between Bill and Tom, and I think it's great for me. It didn't look good. The one thing I will give Tom credit for is when him and his receiver seemed to be on the same page when he was calling alerts, he made some tough throws. He made some throws that last year I'm not sure he had the confidence to throw to his receiving core, so that looked good. That looks scary if you give them another 15 weeks to figure it out. But it is going to take at least 6. You saw that they are not close to where they need to be. If they reach their apex, they're scary. But the reason I have them at 9 or 10 wins is because I don't think they can do that in the amount of time they have. 0 preseason games. And they clearly weren't on the same page. It's not just a matter of talent. These teams almost never work in the NFL. The 2011 Eagles don't work. When you get these dream teams and they don't have enough time to figure it all out, it just doesn't work.
All right, so it's week 1. They played probably the Super Bowl favorite in the NFC in their stadium. I think everyone on this panel would have predicted the Buccaneers to lose this game, even if it was week 1, week 10, week 16. Did Brady look great? No. But it was his first game. I'm not coming here saying that Brady looked very good yesterday because he didn't. But you have to think that Brady's a perfectionist. If the receivers aren't running, if the receivers are running a 12-yard out and they're supposed to be running a 10-yard out, that's not okay with Brady. And some of those interceptions, I mean, I don't even know what Mike Evans did on the first interception.
But what about that screen pass?
The screen pass was pretty bad. But I mean, I think everyone is just overreacting to this, to be honest with you. The Bucs are going to be fine. I said they were going to start out slow. It's their first year together, and Brady's in a new offense. He didn't look terrible. He just didn't look like Tom Brady. And I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. It was against the Saints, who's the best team probably in the NFC. So we'll see. It's only week 1. I'm not overblown it by any means.
Yeah, I think the most shocking thing for me almost is that you hear Bruce Arians was not afraid at all to kind of give it to Tom. After the game, he was like saying he made the wrong read and was off the wrong page with Mike Evans. I thought that was the craziest thing about that. But we actually have a little sound from our friend Max Kellerman talking about the good old Tom Brady cliff. Sounds like Justin's not a subscriber to it, but let's let that one roll.
Different. Now, here come the excuses. People won't even be wrong. They didn't have a preseason. He's getting used to a new system. You got to let him get his feet under him. Breeze and them didn't look great either, right? A lot of this looks like preseason. He's 43 years old. Yeah, that's true. But that's what I was saying before this game. Don't come at me with that stuff now. It's true, but everyone was talking about Tom Brady's about to win the MVP. He's still elite, da-da-da. No, he's not, and no, he's not. Bruce Arians, by the way, calls him out, which I think is good for the team, saying those 2 interceptions were on Brady. He was right. And if this was last year and Jameis did that, we'd all be rolling our eyes, right? The only difference is Jameis would have a whole lot of yards and maybe some more touchdowns to go with the 2 costly interceptions. It is what it is. This is what a 43-year-old quarterback on a new team looks like.
So there you have it, a little bit of sound there from him. And I'm going to kind of go more the way of Justin on this. You know, I think everybody is overreacting a little bit much. Yeah, it's 3 straight weeks with a pick 6 for Tom Brady. Yeah, that puts him in some pretty bad company. But I think there's really not a whole lot to worry about here. I think you're still going to see yourself winning about 10, going 10, 11 wins. I think you played the ace of the NFC South in the Saints. And I think that, Tom Brady, he got out there quickly with a lot of his guys, and I think there is that, kind of professionalism. It didn't work against the Saints, but I think that they're going to come up strong against, much of the other opponents that they're going against, and I'm honestly not that worried. A couple picks for Brady, first time he's done it since 2003 in an opener, so it's something that we're not used to seeing, but I mean, I think, there just hasn't been the communication, and they haven't had the offseason to be able to do it.
The reason why I'm concerned is because I'm not concerned about Brady. Him standing on the left hash and trying to throw it in the flat on the right hash is a throw he can't make, and his coach should know that because at Brady's peak, he can't make that throw. And I think the first pick was on Mike Evans. So I don't think either one of those was on Tom Brady. But if that's what it looks like in week 1, how long does it take for that not to happen? Because we've seen it take 8, 9, 10 weeks here in New England, and that was with the best coach ever and the best quarterback ever in his peak. Now he's a little bit past that. I mean, it's overblown. I'm not overreacting because I think Brady's a top 12 quarterback, and again, that team has the talent to win 9 or 10 games. But when you talk about winning 11 or 12 or being a legitimate Super Bowl contender, I don't think they have that time underneath them.
Look, I think a lot of the mistakes that were made that we saw out there were ones that you just are not going to see in New England. That kick, pooch kick or whatever you want to call it on the kickoff, where that guy went back and tried to catch it and took it out of the guy who was supposed to return its hands. I mean, there was just mistakes on defense, on special teams, and obviously it just all compiled with the offensive mistakes that we saw Tom making out there. And I think that Tom's used to having that cushion of New England where he can rely on the rest of the team to not be making these types of mistakes.
I mean, let's face it. When was the last time the Patriots played a good team in week 1? We faced the Dolphins, the Jets, Bills every single year. It's like the preseason Red Sox game when they played Boston College before they go play the rest of the league. I mean, they've had a cakewalk for a long time. The Saints are legit. And I agree with Frank. Some of these throws, like if Brady's going to be hucking it deep like 4 or 5 times a game, that is not a good recipe for success because he's not a good deep passer. He is good at throwing in cuts, 15-yard, 20-yard in cuts.
Scotty Miller, baby.
Scotty Miller, yeah. I mean, Rob Gronkowski had 2 targets. I mean, and he looked slow out there. He looked terrible.
Rob Lacash.
Yeah.
Oh, he looks like he can't play professional football anymore. Honestly, I mean, that one hit that he got smashed in his thigh and went right to it's like he's not even Gronk anymore. He can't get any separation.
Yep.
I think you saw a couple things that you're never going to see in New England. You really saw with Bruce Arians kind of throwing Brady under the rug there, basically saying that it was his fault. I think you're never going to see Bill Belichick come out and do that. And I guess for me, I'm wondering how long it is till these guys butt heads with some of the things that Arians has said after this. He's kind of all putting it on top of Brady, not taking any cushion for that.
I thought Belichick was the only one that gave Brady a hard time. Belichick was the guy that said, it's on open heart surgery. Week 1. I thought going down to Tampa Bay was all about drinking beers with Bruce Arians in the parking lot after the games. Bruce Arians calls it like it is. Belichick doesn't do it in the media, but he'll do it in the team meeting on Monday morning. I'm sure Brady doesn't like it, but he should be used to it by now. Belichick's been criticizing him for 20 years.
You don't think they went over this before he went to Tampa Bay?
Probably not. You think
don't
that's
think
part of the
him
sales
and-
pitch?
I think they talk about it. I think at 43, Tom Brady brings everything to the table because he knows what he doesn't know and what he does know. I have to think they talked about this beforehand. When we hear about something in the media, it's long after it's been discussed in the organization. That goes across all sports. I can't imagine that this happened and that Tom Brady's caught off guard by it.
I also wonder, too, if, obviously the Pats played before the Bucs. I'm sure he watched some of it in the locker room, sees Cam did pretty well yesterday and we won. And then they don't start out hot. You see Brady yelling at the refs, getting pissed off. I mean, deep down inside, he might not think, everyone might not think it's a competition between Belichick and him, but he is. He wants it to be the guy, not Belichick.
Oh, it's 100% a competition. I think you got to love what Belichick has said in the post games like this week. Like they were talking about his record without Brady, and he's like, "Oh yeah, when Brady got suspended, like he's just so quick to mention anything." And if you listen to the post game when he was talking about Cam, I mean, we haven't heard him. He goes on and on about how Cam was doing great, how Cam's done everything we could expect him to do, and with Brady, it was. It's not open heart surgery, so I think we're seeing a huge, clash of styles when it comes to kind of what Belichick was willing to do for Brady versus what he's willing to do for Cam. I think he knows it's all about feeding. He's got to get Cam on the right page in order for Cam to have that success. But before we kind of dive into the Pats, the Browns got crushed 38-6. And with Lamar Jackson in that game, I was wondering if you guys saw that Harbaugh took a lot of crap for kind of leaving Jackson in the game up 32. And for me as a competitor, I mean, I just think that you leave guys in as long as you want. You try to get that W, especially in week 1 if you're trying to work on things. I didn't think of it as anything that bad. Justin, I know you have Lamar Jackson on your fantasy team, so was it a dumb decision for them to leave Lamar Jackson in that game up 32?
I had a tissue box. I was crying. I'm like, please take him out of the game. I mean, remember back in the day when they wouldn't take Brady out? We're up like 30. It's like, dude, come on. I get you want to win the game. You've won the game already. The Browns are atrocious. There's no way they're going to score on the Ravens' defense to begin with. Just take him out of the game. You don't want to. If Lamar Jackson gets hurt, their season's over. So there's no point to doing that.
There's a fragility to having a quarterback like Lamar Jackson. You have to constantly worry when that play is going to come where he tears an ACL, where he tears his Achilles, where he has a non-contact injury. I'm more worried about that than any contact he's taking. It's just him cutting and having that cut be the one that ends the season. And I think that you definitely have to take him out. I think, if you're up 32 points in the fourth quarter, maybe it's time to put RG3 in. If things go south, you can be confident enough to put Lamar Jackson back in and know that he's going to take you to the promised land, right? But it's just, I just think that's a risk I don't want to take week 1, especially with some good defenders like the Browns have and Myles Garrett out there looking to hit quarterbacks with their helmets.
You have Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson. You leave them in as long as you want. You got a guy like Lamar Jackson, Mike Vick, these guys. They all are on a special type of calendar and a special clock. You take them out once the other team is down 21. There's no need to force it. This guy, is absolutely unguardable. He's the best. He's one of the best things in all of sports since he's came into the league and got that job because his rookie season he didn't really have it. He's super exciting, but that guy, every time I see him make a play, I think, oh God, how can you stop that? But how long does that last? I mean, at some point, and Alex, you hit the nail on the head. It's not even so much that he gets hit. What if he just makes a cut because he's ungodly athletic and his body just doesn't bend that way? Like, you got to take it. They were up, 32-6? Take that man out of the game, please.
Let's see Russell, RG3. I want to see what he's got left.
All he's got is handoffs left. I can assure you of that.
I think he's got a little bit more.
He's got more than that.
Little bit more, not a
He was
lot.
on his way to being a stud.
Mike
until-
Shanahan screwed him over.
Yeah,
so
he was
badly.
on his way
A
to being a
bootleg.
stud until Mike
bootleg.
Shanahan let him in through an ACL tear.
He's one of the all-time what-ifs. He's up there with Bo Jackson and
I don't know that high.
No,
He's not that
RG3.
He had one of
was
the best rookie
absolutely
years.
that
He had
high.
one
was
of the best
unbelievable.
rookie years.
He was Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson.
He was Vince Young.
Yeah,
He was not Lamar
he was
Jackson.
I
better
agree.
than
He
Vince
was
Young.
not Lamar
he
Jackson.
was
had
a better
an
Vince
arm,
Young.
better
he
than
had
Vince
the
Young.
All
knowledge.
right, all right.
No.
All right, we got one ringing through here. Let's take this. You're live on Open Season.
Yeah, this is Eddie.
Hey, Eddie, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Hey, listen, I know that you guys are younger and you subscribe to the new era of taking guys out as soon as someone gets a lead. But are we really taking Lamar Jackson out of the game because they got a 21-point lead?
Yes.
I think they were up 32 at one point with a couple of
I
minutes
know, but
left in the
he's saying,
fourth.
he's saying if you get up 21, you got to take the best player on the field. Lamar Jackson doesn't get to be 25 years old. He only gets to be 25 years old once.
It was hurting Baker Mayfield's feelings. He was literally sobbing on the sidelines. He was still out there.
Do you think if RG3 started the game that the Ravens wouldn't have won that game? Or most
I'm
games
sure they
that they'll
would've.
play this year?
I want to watch Lamar Jackson run for 2,000 yards.
Sure you do, but if he runs for 2,000 yards, he plays for a lot less seasons in his career.
Yeah, I know, but this is the problem with you younger people. You want to rest Kawhi Leonard 40 games a year.
This is a different
No,
sport.
you don't
Kawhi
wanna-
Leonard should be
you don't-
playing 60 games a year, 80 games a year. This is not the same
You don't
sport as
want to.
basketball.
You don't want to go to the games and watch the best players. You want to go to a Springsteen concert and watch Billy Allen singing instead.
Well, good thing
so you
there
can
was-
save
good-
Bruce's voice.
Good thing they didn't sell out yesterday.
Hey, do not insult my voice. That's when I come on.
Billy
No.
sounds like an angel.
No, but I mean, honestly, Eddie, I kind of feel you. I mean, I hate that guys like when you bring it to Kawhi Leonard. Yeah, I hate that he's the best player in the game, maybe, and only plays 60 games. But I think this is something a little bit different where if you can minimize the hits on a guy like Jackson, you got to do it when
Yeah,
he's
but
out.
what does that mean? Though? Lamar Jackson is the
When
best
he's up
quarterback in the
32
league
with
right
4
now.
minutes, when there's 4 minutes left in the game, Eddie.
He's a
It
200.
doesn't matter. He's
Eddie,
do you
he's
think
a
Tom
200-pound
Brady-
quarterback.
Tom Brady,
Eddie.
did
He's
Tom
not
Brady
Tom
ever come out of the
Brady.
game?
He's not Tom Brady. It's
You're right,
apples
he's
and
better
oranges.
He's better than Tom. He's better than Tom Brady.
That's
Yeah,
you're right.
asinine, but that's not the point. The point is Tom Brady has taken one hit in his career, and he missed a whole season. Lamar Jackson only has so many hits in his career because it's how he plays. It's play style. You take that guy out once you're winning. And it's not because I'm young. It's because that's his hit clause.
It's not once you're winning. It's once you're winning by 32 points
In the fourth quarter.
In the fourth quarter, you
Yeah, but
just sit there.
you don't
Maybe
have
they're
to
chasing
catch
another
him to
MVP.
hit him, right?
Hey Eddie, what'd you think of Tom Brady yesterday? I know you've called before and you're a big
I
fan.
thought he looked old.
Yeah. Do you think he's still? You think Derek Carr's better than him yet?
I don't think Derek Carr's better. I think
Eddie-
Tom Brady obviously has proven that he's a system quarterback.
Oh my God!
That's
here we go. Oh,
ridiculous.
here we go. Well, hold on. Before we go haywire into that, I know you always call up with good coaching buffoons. You got any? You got any good coaching mistakes for us
there were
this week?
only two that stuck out to me this week. Surprisingly,
Is
was
it one Mike
Mike
McCarthy?
Yeah, not kicking the field goal when it was 4th and 3 to tie the game, which is asinine. And then last night, Vic Fangelo not using his timeouts and letting the clock run down to 17 seconds. I don't know why. I guess he didn't want time on the clock for his team to make a comeback.
Vrabel's got this Belichick type thing. Like he makes coaches overthink things. Like call a timeout. Like what are you doing? They're just going to give it to Derrick Henry every single time and run the clock down.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible. So those are the only two that I saw this week. Maybe the guys are. The other thing that I'm seeing in the NFL is that teams are playing in the analytical defense this year, apparently, where they're using more safeties and linebackers in coverage, which is allowing the tight ends to absolutely eat. Which is you'll notice that they're probably going to set the record for most catches this year.
That was incredibly noticeable. That's a good point.
Yeah, that is a great
So-
point. Anything else for us, Eddie?
That's about it. Crushed it in DraftKings and the betting NFL. Hopefully we do it again in week 2. You guys should have you got to have a show on Saturday so we can get some picks going.
Yeah,
We should.
absolutely. We'll try to do that. Any good
So,
picks for us
that's
ahead
about
of
it.
this weekend? You got anybody that
I
you're
have
going to be riding?
no idea. Way too early. I know Michael Thomas is out for a bunch of weeks. So
Who
that's
is the
only
stud?
thing
Who
I
are you
know.
riding this week? Who were part of your big picks?
What's that?
Who are you riding this week? Who were part of your big picks?
I had Baltimore Buffalo for a pretty significant teaser,
Ah.
and obviously they both won. So.
All right. Well, Eddie, as always, we appreciate you making time for the
All
show.
right. Good show, guys. Take care.
All right. Thanks, man.
Man, those are
So-
two pretty easy bets. The Ravens and the Bills.
Easy money.
Jeez.
And he almost started the Tom Brady as a system quarterback.
I
thing,
wanted-
too. Did
I
you
wanted
see
to
him
At
debate
try to
43
jump
years
that?
old, how in the world do you prove anything outside
So-
of you're 43 years old and X amount?
Yeah, but some of those throws Brady threw yesterday were dimes.
absolute times. That was my point. Is that I'm
Exactly.
not worried about Brady.
Like,
I'm worried
Cam
about that
Newton
team.
ain't throwing those passes. Tell you that.
I think it's more just Tom Brady needs the timing a little bit more. He
Yeah.
needs to get some of those real practices, and it just seems like they really haven't had many. So I think once they do that, they'll be in a lot better shape. But it seems like Eddie was definitely in disagreement of taking Lamar Jackson out. But we are not here. We are unified in our stance that Lamar Jackson should have been taken out, especially when it's like 4 minutes left in the game.
It's also not
and you're
every
up
quarterback.
32.
It's that guy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Mike Vick. It's that guy.
Yeah, that guy you should be putting in,
I mean,
bubble wrap and making sure that if you get 3 good seasons out of Lamar Jackson, like 3 seasons where he's rushing for 1,000 yards, I think you got to be damn happy with that.
I mean, just look at their backup. Look what happened to him. Like, take him out of the game.
And he's not Kawhi. This isn't basketball. In basketball, you are never going to get hit that one time that ends your career. You are more likely to tear your Achilles stepping on the baseline incorrectly.
Unless
In
you're Gordon Hayward.
Well, he's made of glass. Well, there's the Sam Bowies of the world. But in football, anybody can just get hit on a particular play. That's why you take that guy up a certain amount in the fourth quarter. That's the point.
So before we get into the Patriots, this weekend I thought Aaron Rodgers looked really good. Russell Wilson looked really good with 4 touchdown debuts. Was there anybody else that kind of knocked off the cobwebs who you hadn't seen? Like for me, Aaron Rodgers, he was just throwing darts. He looked like he hasn't looked in years. Was there anybody else that kind of stood out to you guys this weekend, as far as fantasy performers? Guys that maybe haven't been that great over the past couple of years that shined in week 1?
I mean, I think the Falcons receivers, that receiving core is going to be
What an
absolutely
onslaught.
filth. Like, Calvin Ridley is a stud. You got him with Julio.
Russell Gage, don't
Yeah,
leave my
yeah,
man
I know
out.
Russell Gage, Matt Ryan. He could put up 5,000 yards this year with this offense. You got Todd Gurley looked pretty good yesterday. Overall, a lot of the games are very competitive and high scoring, except for last night. And the games were fun to watch. The Bills look pretty good, damn good too. Granted, it was the Jets.
I mean, I definitely like the Falcons. Todd Gurley in at running back, I mean, that should be a difference maker.
3 straight runs from the 2-yard line. Do you think they want to keep him happy or what?
Yeah. I mean, hey, this isn't the Rams. They don't have any long-term commitment, crazy salary cap number that they have to worry about paying Gurley every year. The Rams already ate the big one on that contract, and the Falcons have a 1-year deal. If he blows out their knee, they don't care. They don't care. Let him run.
the
Let
same-
Gurley do his thing. That's what he wants to do.
It's the same thing as Cam Newton. The Pats are going to run him into the ground this year.
15 rushes.
Absolutely.
Oh, my God, yes.
15 rushes, the second most of his career. And it gets me into, I don't think this is sustainable, what they're doing. I think it was a good plan in week 1 against the Dolphins, and I think it could work in that situation. But I just feel like running Cam this much, and then, I think teams are going to crowd the box and force Cam to throw, and I feel like that's going to be something where, it's definitely not going to be successful. And we actually have a little bit of a clip here of our good friend Stephen A. Smith kind of saying the Pats can't win playing this type of football. Let's listen in.
Running on you. If you're Cam Newton, part of your success is going to be predicated on being that dual threat. And Lamar Jackson and others have shown the capability of doing that. We don't give Russell Wilson enough credit for him doing that. We don't even give Aaron Rodgers enough credit for his ability to extend plays and do it that way, not just his exceptional ability to throw the football. Being able to keep defenses honest by allowing them to be reminded of the fact that you can run with the football is imperative. So I don't blame the New England Patriots and specifically Cam Newton for doing it yesterday. I'm just simply saying if you look at that style of play, and if you're planning on doing that all year long, and you think that's what's going to win you a Super Bowl, there's no way in hell that that's going to happen with this particular team. They need additional weapons at the wideout position, which they don't have at this particular moment in time, and that's why I say it wouldn't win you a Super Bowl.
Guys, agree or disagree? Can the Pats play like this?
Well, he's right in his ending. We definitely can't win a Super Bowl playing like this, but this is how we have to play all season. We have a 1-year deal with Cam Newton. This is how it has to go. I said a rich man's Jacoby Brissett, and you guys laughed at me. Well, what did that look like? It looked like a bunch of high school offense. And it turns out Tom Brady's not the only one who can throw it to Julian Edelman wide open, sitting in a soft zone 15 yards down the field across the middle. It turns out it's not just Tom that hits somebody wide open. Cam Newton has a laser, but he has no touch. Doesn't matter if his receivers are open in the system that we run and if the linebacker is being kept honest by his run scheme. This has to happen every game.
I mean, let's face it. We've all watched the Pats for 20 years. They changed their offense game by game. And yesterday's offense was essentially the Jacoby Brissett game against the Texans a couple years ago. It was the most basic offense in the world. Cam ran a couple times, but the passes were just, as easy as possible. Cam's only been here for about a month and a half. He's going to continue to learn and evolve and learn this offense. Hopefully we can get another receiver because it is pretty bad. I mean, N'Keal Harry is not ready yet to be a number 2. And
how about your prediction for him?
My prediction's looking good. I said 500 yards.
Oh, sorry. That was Tordai.
Yeah, he said he was going to get 10 touchdowns.
That was fantasy driven.
Well, to be fair, he probably could have pretty easily had a touchdown.
Minus a large fumble.
Yeah, that's very true.
I mean, hey,
That
look.
changed the whole game around.
It really did.
What did he have? What did he have for stats?
He had like 36 yards.
40 yards and a precious fumble right at the 1-yard line.
I mean, look, Cam Newton looked good yesterday. I also think people are kind of overblowing this. We played the Dolphins. It's like the total opposite of everyone overreacting about Brady playing the Saints. If we played the Saints yesterday, we would have lost by 30 points. Like, the Dolphins are terrible.
I don't agree.
I agree.
Fitzmagic
Michael
owns
Thomas
us.
had 3 catches for 17 yards. If we hold Michael Thomas to 17 yards, nobody else on that team is doing
Yeah,
shit.
but Gilmore didn't even look that great yesterday. I know he had the pick, but how many pass interference calls did he
Gilmore
yesterday?
was quietly holding out all offseason, so he just needs a couple weeks to get himself.
Well, isn't that funny how much that heals your hamstring to get that extra $5 million? I mean, he was right back on the field after he got the $5 million.
Faster.
I mean, they were trying to trade him in the offseason a couple times.
Yeah, apparently that came out.
That probably pissed him off. But I mean, if the Rams gave up 2 first-round picks for Ramsey, you could definitely get a first for him. I don't want to trade Gilmore; he's our best player, but we had no money.
But they don't want to give him money, so they'll trade him.
Yeah, we'll just cut Sanu instead.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I think Cam Newton in that offense can't quite work. I mean, you talked about how the Pats have molded it over time, but I think what about when defenses stack the box and make sure that Cam is throwing? Can Cam sit back there and complete 40%?
No.
I mean, complete 60% of his passes?
He's not that guy. That's never been Cam Newton. Cam Newton's completion percentage has always been at the bottom of comparison to other quarterbacks. He's an athletic quarterback. He's not even as fast as he used to be. He's just a freaking truck. I mean, that guy, he looks like a linebacker just running at people.
There's no way this guy's going to hold up, too. Running like this 15 times, and when he gets hit, he gets hit. I mean, I get the fact that we don't need to preserve him, but what are we saying? We're open to having Hoyer be the quarterback for this team?
So next week it's going to be different. We're playing Seattle. Seattle has a decent defensive line linebackers. Miami, for what they are, they have a couple good secondary. Byron Jones, they have a decent secondary. Seattle's secondary is terrible. Actually, no, they just got Jamal Adams. Never mind. Yeah, it's gonna be a weird.
I was
game
gonna
next
say
week.
Seattle didn't look too bad this week.
Yeah, but how many points did they give up? They gave up a good amount.
Did they?
You can throw on Seattle, but it's
Can Cam Newton throw on Seattle, though? That's my question.
receivers will
Can he
be
drop
open.
back? I don't think the
Play
receivers
actions.
are going to get open for him.
just
That's
have
the
to do
thing.
play actions.
They don't have a
sit
lot of
in a
guys who can
zone.
separate.
But they sit in a zone, so they won't have to separate because they're not playing man defense. Seattle is notorious for running a cover 2 zone basically all
So you
game
think
without
Cam
the man
Newton is going
underneath.
to? You think Cam Newton's going to carve up the Seahawks next week?
I think the way we scheme offense, he's going to have receivers 12 to 16 yards downfield without somebody within 10 yards of them. That's what it looked like this week. Every throw he had, they were wide open.
And another thing that looked good yesterday, the offensive line for us looked great.
Looked great.
They
I'm
gave
glad you
Cam
brought that up.
Cam all the time in the world, all the rushes he had.
Illuminor.
Yeah, they looked great. I don't even know who the right tackle was.
Illuminor.
Never heard of him.
I'm sorry, I like that name. He looked unbelievable.
Yeah, not bad. Who is he?
I don't know, which is the best
Was
part
he
of
he the
this.
water boy? I've never even heard of him.
Don't know. Don't care. He was
Yep.
great, and David Andrews is clearly important to this offensive line because when he plays, we're good.
Well, and also because Cam Newton gave him the ball to spike it. Did you
how
like
about the
that?
fat
that
guy
little
spike?
That little twist.
Fat Guys
God.
Dancing is one of the very underrated things in NFL history. The Icky Woods of the world. Every single William Refrigerator Perry touchdown celebration.
Oh my God! Outside of the Pats, I mean, like winning Super Bowls, what's better than watching
fat guys
a
dancing?
fat guy score a touchdown or a fat guy? The kick return fat guy. Remember the kick return fat guy from a few years back?
Yep.
The Pats, like 6-7 years ago. The guy took it like 60 yards.
Remember Vince Wilfork on his pick?
Oh,
ran the ball
God.
35 yards back.
Are any of us in good enough shape to be making fun of fat guys?
Probably not.
Absolutely not. I'm a brisk 22% body fat.
I'll tell you what's
I
better
was
than
going to say we're all at risk over here.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what's better than watching Fat Guy Cam Newton's outfit yesterday before the game.
Oh, these
that
get
thing was on
ridiculous.
fire.
I'm sure. So is Russell Westbrook's. I just don't understand fashion. I'll never get it.
He said yellow and black to make people realize that he's
a
back.
bumblebee.
Yeah, bumblebee.
Did you listen to his answers, like in the post game? He's just like, just to have an opportunity. Like it's just like you won a game against the Dolphins.
He also,
like,
like, got
he
so-
makes it sound like they just fought like a war.
He got
like,
so pissed because his stupid chain got yanked off. Like, what the hell are you wearing that stupid thing for?
Hold
Yeah,
on.
can't you take your chain off during the game? I never get this.
I mean, if you
Guys.
No, I
if,
can't.
If you can take your hairnet off, you can
No,
take your chain.
I can't take my chain off. And
What,
if you
you're
grab
walking
it,
in the
we're
club-
scrapping. If you try to take my chain, we're fighting. I don't expect you to understand this.
Okay,
And
who
there's-
are-
That's
Who-
bottom line. No, that's
yeah,
how it
there-
is.
There's
Is
an
that-
argument to be made.
Is
He
that a
should take-
direct quote from the guy
mean,
in the 49ers?
I
Oh,
believe it was a great
Michael
philosopher.
Crabtree.
Mike Crabtree?
Oh,
Yes.
I don't think I've ever seen anything more disrespectful on a football
Cortland
field.
Finnegan.
Oh my God.
Getting smashed by
Oh.
Andre Johnson is the most disrespectful thing I've ever
I
seen.
would,
on a
that was
I
football
would
field.
rather be beat up than have my chain snatched.
Me too.
I
Which is why
honestly would
maybe I
rather be
should
beat
take
up.
it off. But if you grab it, we're scrapping. Even if I
Yes.
lose, there
Yep.
is nothing that can be done. I'm pretty sure Tupac got killed over something like that.
Yeah,
if
but-
you take my chain, we are scrapping.
Okay,
That's
but
it.
can't you
That's-
just
that's
leave
why
the chain? Can't you just leave the
No,
chain?
but that's the point.
If
Why
I
do you
take
have
off
to
the
let
chain,
Cam's
I'm not
swag.
Superman. If I take off the chain, I'm just
Yeah.
Cameron
He's
Newton.
afraid.
I'm Cam.
Cam's not afraid of anything. At least in his mind, he's not. Other than criticism.
Cam's afraid. Cam's afraid of anything except for
Objective criticism.
except for completing passes above 60%. That's what he's afraid of.
We don't need
I mean-
him to. We don't need him to. That's the
Yeah,
best
baby.
part about
Well,
having
apparently
Bill
he's going to
Belichick.
have wide receivers open 12 and 16 yards down the field
He
against the Seahawks.
absolutely
We
will.
don't have to worry. Jamal Adams, that's not going to nullify
Do
anything.
we
or-
beat the Seahawks
Yes.
this week? Because I
Yes.
think we
No.
do.
Yes.
No, we don't.
I just
Who
feel
wants
like
to put
Bill
money
is
on
going to
it?
game plan.
No,
and
There's
I
four
got-
of us.
Not a chance.
Who wants money
All
on
right,
it?
we got one
I
ringing
quit
through here.
gambling,
We
I'm
got
telling
one
you.
ringing through here.
$50 we don't.
50?
Yep.
Hi, you're on open season. Who do we got?
We got Connor here.
Connor. What do we got?
All right. So I want to just follow up on a couple of my questions here. So
Yep.
I know we touched on a couple of it, but, just looking for a few takes on, first off, have the expectations changed after Pats obviously, had a real good game, strong performance from some key players against kind of a lackluster Dolphins team. And then, secondly, you guys were talking about it, but, provoked or not, I'd love to hear some takes on how we think Bill has had some internal conversations with Cam and the rest of the team after the drama with the chain at post game.
All right. Well, definitely. I mean, I think I don't know about you guys, but I think that this doesn't really change expectations. I think people are pretty much thinking that the Pats are going to go 9-7, 10-6, right? Isn't that kind of what people are saying? around here.
We're still in the AFC, so yeah.
11
So
games.
I would say most people are thinking you can get 4 wins out of the AFC East here, and then allowing Belichick to kind of piece together the rest of that, what it makes to be 9-7, 10-6. But for me, I could see them going 7-9. I could see them, being under 500 potentially. I don't think Cam is the answer here for me. Now the second part of your question, what was the second part?
Second part, that like with the whole drama after the game with the chain, right? That notoriously is not Bill's style of reaction to winning. That's for sure. I'm just wondering if you guys think there was some internal conversations between him and Cam, whether it was provoked or not. It's just not the Belichick way.
They already reported they're not going to bench him. They told him he can't wear any of those ridiculous outfits on Sunday. That's his punishment. Nor could he wear his big green hat.
I know they've had those conversations, and that's a sad thing because we're not going to get to see it. But let me explain something to you. He's not in the wrong. You grow up, whether it's football, whether it's AAU, no matter what the sport is, you grew up wanting to have swagger. You grew up wanting to not just play and be good, but be good looking while doing it. And you just don't snatch a man's chain at any age. I know it sounds ridiculous and immature, and that's because it is juvenile and immature, but that's okay. This is the man who had to go to a JUCO because he's juvenile and immature. At his best, he's got that chain on, and that's why it strips him of some of his identity to not let him wear it. And what was the first part? The first part was, do I change expectations? No, I don't. I didn't think they were going to be a serious Super Bowl contender, and I thought they were going to win their division. I still think that. I just think it might look a little less ugly than I originally thought.
We're talking about a grown man wearing a chain, in a football
They're
game.
not grown men. Because you are an adult age doesn't make you an adult. These are pro athletes. They grow up being pampered. He has had that chain on in every game since he was 7. And he has been Cam, Superman, every game since he was 7. It's not a grown man in an office. This is not an office job. This is not corporate America. This is a game. They are grown men playing games, and nobody questions that. You just question their etiquette while doing it. We have Ray Caruth. We have Aaron Hernandez. Wearing a chain is not the worst thing that these guys are effing doing.
Connor didn't call in for that, okay, Frankie? Connor, what else? Connor, what else you got for us before you? But we'll let you on your way.
Yeah, I got one more. I mean, what do we turn into week 2? From what we saw week 1. I mean, what do we expect against the Seahawks here?
I mean, personally, I'm thinking that they're going to lose to the Seahawks. I don't think that Cam's going to be able to pass well enough against that defense. But it seems like the guys I'm sitting amongst up here are big fans of us taking down Seattle, so maybe I'll let one of them speak.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I really think Belichick's going to game plan for this. I think our defense is going to take away a lot of the stuff that the Seahawks like to do offensively, probably force the great Russell Wilson into some mistakes.
He doesn't make any. He makes 6 a season.
I think that against this defense, he will. I really do. We have such great cornerbacks. We have such a good defense, and I think that Cam running the ball is going to complement that defense very beautifully.
Every time Russell Wilson's played us, he's lit us up.
All right, well, we beat him in the Super Bowl. So
look, he's going to light us up.
We've got another one on the line. We just dropped Connor. Who do we got?
This is Uncle Cracker.
Uncle Cracker, all right.
Yeah, Guy Fieri's brother.
Guy Fieri, yeah, big fan of him. He makes the trash can nachos, right?
Just kidding, it's your boy Campbell. Do you think Odell's gonna get traded because he likes to get pooped on? What do you think's the deal with that? Big trade rumors going around Cleveland Steamers. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yep.
Yeah, we got the.
Really?
We finally got the Odell call.
Yep, there it is.
I expected that last week. Yeah,
we thought we got it about a week late, but we got the Odell call. I mean,
well, the trade rumors are coming out today.
All right.
Well, I mean, look, Odell. I've apparently he had a rough go of it in that game, and then obviously had a mini blow up, saying he wanted to get out. Who knows what really went down? There's all sorts of speculation. You layer on the Dookie rumors. There's just a lot of stuff going on in the Browns locker room right now.
Yeah, and I think that, you've heard Odell kind of clamoring to be on the Patriots for some time now.
That's
he
when Tom
did
Brady
it,
was here.
But he did it more so with Tom Brady, and that's what I was going to say.
Him and Cam were training this offseason.
But they were training and drinking. They were drinking
lethal.
wine and being boys on that long podcast.
But that's chemistry.
Kind of hard to consume.
That's chemistry.
Yeah. Well, You got anything
I
else?
think there's a lot of mouths to feed on that Browns offense, and not the best game plan. So Odell probably wants to get out of there. But no, that's it.
All right.
That's it from me.
All right, cool.
Uncle
Well, hey,
Cracker's out.
Uncle Cracker, we appreciate you calling. Oh man, so that was a nice one, Uncle Cracker. You never know what you get when you open up the phones. And again, we're taking your calls at 617-702-2542. Even if your name's Uncle Cracker, we'll let you have 30 seconds or so. So, but anyway, keeping it on the Patriots for a little bit, we saw they just got into it a little bit about their defense, and we saw their defense look really good. In fact, you heard Bill Belichick shouting out J.C. Jackson in the postgame, something I've never really heard. He's like, I personally want to, say to J.C. that he really played well this week, all these kinds of things that I've really never heard him say. And, I'm wondering what you guys think about how good this secondary is. I think we really have a strong secondary. Obviously, there's a huge turnover at linebacker, and they've got to work on some things. But this secondary can definitely be special.
I mean, I think that turnover at linebacker, we're talking about an older Dante Hightower here. Yes, I just feel like he hasn't been who he was. We've got a lot of young talent coming in. That secondary, we only lost Pat Chung. We still got the McCourty brothers back there. J.C. Jackson is definitely that next up guy. I wouldn't be surprised if they traded Stephon Gilmore after this offseason. Got out of the contract while it was still, paying him the money that is worth it for his on-field
His
production.
real money's low next year. His cap number is big, but the amount of money you actually have to take out of your bank account and pay him is low. It's the end of his contract. That's why he wanted to raise this year.
Yeah. I think, too, like the linebacker situation, you could see yesterday or on Sunday what they were doing with, like, Adrian Wilson and Jaquan Williams, the guy they drafted out of Vanderbilt. He's guarding tight ends. Adrian Wilson's kind of playing linebacker. And we didn't even see the guy they drafted in the second round. Was he a scratch?
Uche? Yeah, he was.
No, Duggins, the guy.
The safety that they took
I just think they're going to,
Lenore Ryan or whatever.
Yeah, and Williams actually looked pretty good. We haven't seen him in a year play, but I want to say one thing, though. The rookie running back we had, the undrafted guy, he looked pretty good.
J.J. Taylor,
yep.
The little water bug guy.
Looked like a little Deion Lewis out there.
He really did, and he could be some guy that, the Pats like to use that committee. They're not going to choose one guy. Even if Damian Harris comes back and he's healthy, this team just doesn't choose one running back. They're going to use them like they're switchblades, like they always, or, razor blades, like they always do.
Even Michelle looked half decent yesterday. Like, he wasn't just getting 2 yards. He was finding some holes. I also think having Andrews back is huge to get some holes going.
I was going to say, was he finding holes or were there just holes?
Yeah,
you
I
could
just
have
feel
ran
like
through some of those
we
holes.
can't expect that from Sony Michel.
I mean, I do run a 4.2. Like, I could run right through those things.
4.2.
Yeah.
I could beat
×2.
Deion Sanders and anything.
We have a real test this week, though. I mean, the Dolphins, they are not a top-tier team. This is going to tell us a lot about what the Patriots are looking like.
I think they're going to get trounced.
Win.
I think it's going to be ugly and they're going to lose.
I don't think they're going to lose by much if they
24-27, Pats.
I think their offense eliminates the potential for mistakes. We saw one big mistake.
Do you really think they're going to do that?
That was N'Keal Harry.
Yeah, I just feel like they minimize mistakes, but I feel like they're really going to struggle to get offense against a team that's going to be able to put up 28.
I mean, that team lost Jadeveon Clowney, too. I mean, that defense isn't a world beater.
I think
they took in Jamal Adams.
40 rush attempts. 40 rush attempts. We're going to have the ball for 38 minutes. Yeah. It's going to be a terrible game to watch, and we're going to win.
I want to blow my brains out during those types of games.
Sure, you're going to want to push your eyeballs back through the back of your head, but we're going to win.
If I'm Seattle, I'm having Jamal Adams, spy him the whole game, Cam Newton.
Sure, but isn't that a waste of a use of Jamal Adams? You're taking one of your best.
Out of the, yeah, exactly. But everyone's saying he can't really make any passes. So if you take him,
you're playing right into Bill's hands if you take your best safety and remove him from coverage and run defense.
Well, Bill knows Jamal Adams as well as any coach in the NFL.
Played him 7 times already.
Yeah, he probably knows him better than Adam Gase knows him.
He definitely knows him better than Adam Gase does. 100%. Did you hear Adam Gase after the game this weekend? They asked him if there was anything about the Bills that surprised him. He's just like, no. And they're like, well, how did you lose by 40? They're just they're confused. How could nothing have surprised you? if you lost by that much.
Another reason why the Pats will get at least 9 wins. Coaches like Adam Gase, who's done
throwing
nothing in his career.
Le'Veon Bell. All he did was get Le'Veon Bell more hurt.
He was the offensive coordinator for Peyton Manning, which is like you just hold the clipboard. You don't actually do anything. He's never done anything. And
He's a quarterback whisperer.
Yeah.
He got Jake Cutler.
He was a
He got
he was
Ryan
one of the
Tannehill.
first quarterback whisperers. Absolutely.
Are
Yeah,
you
trash
guys
quarterback.
worried about the Bills taking the division? The Bills taking the division this year?
Not at all. Josh Allen
No.
still can't throw a drag route. And again, I've said it.
he
He can
threw
throw a
some
pillow
bad
through.
balls.
He can throw a pillow through a brick wall. The man still can't hit a drag route. And if he's throwing in the flat, if he's making a screen pass, he's throwing hospital balls. I am not concerned with Josh Allen.
was throwing
He's super
bad
talented,
balls.
but he has not made any progression. The man still can't read defenses. I think McDermott is an unbelievable coach. I just don't believe in that team.
I think the Pats-Bills games are going to be like 17-14 in both games. It's going to be painful to watch.
Horrible games.
Just all defense. Screw it. And terrible quarterbacking.
That's more of it. It's not going to be great defense. Each team is going to have 400 yards, but they won't score or cash in the red zone because neither offense is great in the red zone. Or even
Cam
when-
looked pretty good in the red
Cam and
zone.
Josh-
Cam looked pretty damn good in the red zone.
I understand that, but when we play not the Dolphins, I don't think it's going to look that good or that easy.
I don't. The way that they're running that offense. I mean, look, they're
It worked
definitely
against the Dolphins.
Yes, it did work
Kyle
against
Van
the
Noy
Dolphins.
looked like he needed a map. He was lost.
It was
He was
so
just
fun to
standing
watch him get
he
run
was
over.
standing in the middle. He didn't know who to pick on the option route each time. He's like he left both guys.
Big
It was,
mouth
it was
Van
also
Noy.
a lot about the offensive formation. On those plays, they had all the receivers on the left side, so it pushed all the defensive players to that side. It was all about scheming. And when you watch the game, you don't recognize it, but Belichick's just always ahead of everybody.
So in other words,
Yeah,
they
he
have
always
guys
is
wide
ahead of
open.
everybody. And Justin, that was actually a perfect segue into a clip that we have about Belichick talking about, or sorry, not Belichick, rather, but it's it's Aqib Talib.
Oh, my man.
Aqib Talib talking about how Belichick went after him actually to be a part of this defense.
So Belichick calls you, and he's like, Aqib, and you and Bill, you're Bill's kind of player. You're tough, no nonsense, physical, prepared, you get right in the guy's face. So give me the phone call. What did Belichick say to you?
He just asked me, what? Am I coming? Like, hey, I got a role for you, man. You coming? I'm like, well, what's the role? He kind of explained the role a little bit, and immediately I fell in love with it. Colin. I really was all in, man, and then I let my mental, the whispers, the quiet, you talk to yourself. But I think I really need that. I always do that, man. I always, go through the pros and cons of the situation. And all my thoughts was just so negative about the situation, not the team or anything, just about myself. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh, nah. Once you negative minded like that, man, you're not ready to go. So I never pull up to a situation not ready to go. You know what I'm saying? So, Hey, it is what it is, man. We all get older. We all got to move on. Sometime I think it was just my time.
So it's interesting. You have played in a couple of great teams. So Kansas City is still pretty young. They win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think that's good on the but there you have it there on Aqib Talib talking about Belichick trying to recruit him, and I think it just talks about how Belichick is always ahead of the curve, and he looked at this schedule and saw the tight ends that they're going to be going against. I mean, they're going against the NFC West, a lot of good tight ends there, and they're going against tons of good tight ends this year. So in seeing that, he calls up Aqib Talib and sees if he's got a few more snaps in him. Just got to love this, that Bill Belichick's making calls across the league to try to bolster this defense. Everyone's talking about how it's a rebuild, and Belichick's trying to get guys like Aqib Talib at the last second here.
God, I miss Aqib Talib.
I miss the interviews.
Pure entertainment. Oh, that's my quarterback, man.
And he could absolutely defend.
Oh, he was phenomenal. I was really bummed when he left. And he was like the only vocal cornerback we've ever had. I mean, Tyler wasn't that in terms of interviews and stuff. Gilmore's
Denver was willing to pay Aqib $65 million, though. I mean, they
got him a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
him and Chris Harris. That secondary was nasty.
T.J. Ward, Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware. They had an excellent defense.
Yep. And Peyton Manning just rode it to another Super Bowl.
He didn't ride it.
He sure did.
Checked into runs and got them into excellent plays while being an average quarterback.
God.
No, he
Something
rode
like
it.
you're looking for Tom Brady this
Brian-
year.
He wrote it.
Brian Hoyer could have ran that offense.
Frank, just because you get louder doesn't mean you're right about it.
Thank
Because
you.
I'm
Someone
right
had to
means
say
I'm
it.
right.
No.
Someone had to say it.
Well, that was our football segment, and that was brought to you by Guru Club. And we have a word from our sponsors.
Yeah. Today's show is, again, sponsored by the Guru Club. If you have an Instagram account and you like to shop, check out their website, guru.club, and find brands that will give you cash back on products you love for posting a story to your Instagram and tagging the brand you bought from. You can find micro endorsement deals from brands like Intuitive, which is a canvas company, Blue Salt, and Clean Cause, and many, many more. Shop, share, and get paid, and visit guru.club and get your micro endorsement deals and get your cash back going now. I've earned over $500 in cash back, and so can you.
$500 doesn't sound too bad to me. But, you know, what has been tough has been the Clippers. They're having a tough time closing out this pesky Denver team. And Denver has gotten down 3-1 in 2 consecutive playoff rounds and just kind of keep coming back. They have something special to them. And ahead of tonight, you know, sadly, I got to say that I bet the Clippers are going to win. But it's been absolutely been a pleasure watching this. And I'm curious to you guys if you see Denver being able to pull this game out at all tonight.
Man, after what I've seen from the Nuggets in the past 2 series, their resiliency with their backs against the wall, I can see them doing it, but they're not gonna. The Clippers are gonna take it tonight. They're the superior team, the superior makeup. They have the superior everything. I mean, about them outside of Jokic launching the most ridiculous Dirk shots we've seen since Dirk, and Jamal Murray being able to catch fire from 3. But this Clippers team is going to win tonight. They are going to have, and the refs will ensure it if the Nuggets are looking like they're going to take it. I just cannot picture a Western Conference Finals that isn't the Clippers versus the Lakers. It's going to happen.
So if the Clippers lose, can we all agree that Doc Rivers is an overrated head coach?
Yes.
Oh, we can agree on that before
already.
that.
We can already agree on it.
And the biggest
One
problem,
championship with the big 3. That's
the
overrated.
thing is that it's a mismatch. They have no one that can guard Jokic. Like, what's his name? Zubac?
Zubac.
He's not guarding him. Harrell can't guard him.
Yeah.
Like it's a huge
Montrezl
mismatch.
Harrell has looked terrible in this series.
He can't guard him. So it's a huge mismatch. And I mean, unless Paul George wants to step up for once, it's Michael Porter's look good. They're deep. They have a lot of guys that can hit shots.
Can we go back to that Doc Rivers overrated point? Because I definitely put that second finals loss on Doc. When you're up by, 20 points with a few minutes left in the third quarter, and you can't get your team to settle down and to say, hey, guys, we're up
exactly
20
what happened.
freaking points.
They
Go
had
ahead,
10 offensive rebounds in the second half. We didn't have Perkins, and they were tall. Their small forward was 6'11".
You would think that he would call some timeouts. He would have stopped the runs before they got started. Put in Leon Poe or someone off the bench just to grab boards. Either way, I know we're talking about the Clippers here. We probably shouldn't get too deep into.
No, this
that.
is very relevant to the 08 Celtics.
Doc Rivers is very overrated, but I cannot put 2010 on him. I think that's a misnomer.
All right. Frank disagrees.
Frank disagrees, and we know that Frank won't back down, so we'll just move on. I mean, I think that Doc Rivers is incredibly overrated. They talk about him as like he's like top 12 all time in wins or something like that, but you know, it's honestly just kind of a figure of coaching 50-win teams that haven't done anything. I mean, he coached one of the teams, Lob City. They were up 3-1 also to the Rockets back in 2015 and ended up losing that one. So there's just a ton of times where they've, come through. I feel like Doc has always had the better talent and hasn't necessarily won.
Yeah, 6 times a team in the NBA playoffs has blown a 3-1 lead.
Yeah, how many are Doc Rivers?
3 times that team has been coached by Doc Rivers. And in one of them, he had the big 3. And another one, he had T-Mac at his prime.
And another one, he had
Chris
Lob
Paul
City.
and Blake Griffin. So, yes, he's overrated. And what I love about tonight is you're going to see Kawhi Leonard probably go for 40. And you're also going to see the tightest sphincter you've ever seen on Paul George as he struggles to go 4 of 22, and he scores 7 points. I hope so badly that the Nuggets win, I'm willing to put money on it. Because if they play their A game, they can't be beat. And I don't mean that as hyperbole, because I don't think Michael Porter Jr. is ready yet, and I'm not sure the rest of that team is ready yet. But if they hit all of their ceilings, their peaks, God, that's a scary effing team with a lot of versatile talent and a lot of height and a lot of guys who shot you can't block.
Yep. And they've gotten great play out of Gary Harris. He's now come along. I mean, if they could ever get Bull going, there's just so much depth that team can offer.
You guys remember, what was it, the year we didn't have Kyrie against Cleveland, Game 7, the Terry Rozier stat. What was he, like 1 of 14 from 3? I see that Paul George tonight. That guy cannot come up clutch. Like, when the times get tough, he never comes through.
I think this is the night. I think tonight is Paul George's night where he turns into playoff P.
He's not an alpha
I don't
male.
think it's necessarily his night, but I think the Clippers are going to just execute tonight. I think they haven't been able to execute. They've been the worst team in the second half the last few games, and it's really shown through. I think tonight they're just going to execute. Kawhi is going to probably put them on his back, but I think Paul George will put up a decent effort, and I think that whole team will do pretty good. I think they've got that championship medal, and I think they just have too much talent when it comes down to it when they execute, and I think they're ultimately going to be headed to the Western Conference Finals to play the Lakers.
They have the talent, but the bench has played terrible. Lou Williams hasn't played well. Montrezl Harrell hasn't played well.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, so
Denver's
does
bench
that make you
outscoring
want to take Denver tonight?
Yes, Denver.
You like Denver?
I do. At least the spread's 7. I took Denver plus 7. But
Absolutely.
I mean, it's going to be a close game regardless. It's going to be a low-scoring game. Every game 7's a low-scoring game.
Very low-scoring.
And if you keep Denver in it, I wouldn't be surprised. I could see Clippers coming out hot again like they have every game. Then they push the breaks because Kawhi needs to take like 15 different breaks. And all of a sudden, Doc Rivers is not coaching on the sideline. All thing he's doing is complaining to the refs.
Is the most pressure in this game on Kawhi?
Oh my God! I'm just so tired of his perpetually hoarse voice. Also,
the most pressure is on Paul George.
It's not
Absolutely.
on Kawhi because we give him a pass on the first Finals MVP. He held LeBron to a triple-double of nearly 30, and he averaged 14 points a game. He had 9 in the first and second game, respectively. If he loses this, blows a 3-1 lead, can we finally pump the brakes on he's better than Durant and LeBron?
I feel like people are willing to put him in the top. People have said that they'd put him in like the top 20 or 30 if he were to win another championship.
He's not in the top 200
like
of NBA scores.
He wins another
I know. He's
championship.
definitely not up there in scoring. I think, what's his face? The guy from the 76ers has more points than him. Who's the bum that they signed? Tobias Harris has more points than Kawhi Leonard does. Just as one of those ridiculous stats. But I think Kawhi Leonard only has like 10,000 points. So has he been the best scorer? No, but he's been supremely clutch when he's needed to be.
If Paul George is Paul George, this series is already over. He hasn't been Paul George, and that's in the bench.
But I think he will be Paul George tonight in a Game 7. And they're building.
Oh
oh my God, the home court advantage.
The home court advantage.
Well, here's why the Denver Nuggets are probably in it though, is because there's no home court advantage, right? We've seen so many teams play. This is the first time that we've seen in the Eastern Conference, the first time that the 1 or 2 seed hasn't made the Eastern Conference Finals since the 60s.
I don't see
so. We're seeing a lot of parity here, and I feel like the Nuggets would have never been here unless necessarily they were in the bubble.
Neither would the Heat.
I don't see the Celtics or the Heat. I don't see the Celtics going in Toronto in Game 7 and winning that game.
I don't think they'd probably win a Game 7 in Toronto.
And Miami would not have won in Milwaukee. They're unstoppable at home.
That's true, and I think that's why we've seen a lot of these series go the different ways. I don't think Miami would necessarily be here, but it's going to be something. Do you put an asterisk on it because of that, or
no? I don't put an asterisk on
the Miami Heat,
I think it's impressive.
The Miami Heat inadvertently created an excellent bubble team in a circumstance where everybody shoots roughly 6 points higher from 2 and 3 point range. They have a team of 3-point shooters and one dog. They inadvertently created an excellent team for the bubble. I don't blame them for that.
I put an asterisk on it unless the Celtics win.
Look, I think you definitely have to understand a lot of the shooters, guys early on in the bubble. They were talking, man, the depth perception. It's crazy not having the fans going wild behind the basket. I mean, there's something about it. You just focus on the hoop, nothing else. Obviously you're an athlete. You shouldn't be letting the fans get to you ever. We've seen plenty of times where they do though, and it's helping these shooters with the depth perception and just not having to see like these fans in the stands behind the basket. I think it's helping them be hotter from shooting. So I agree with Frank's point,
especially young shooters too.
Yeah,
Denver's got a lot of young shooters.
The auto predictor also has the Clippers winning 63% tonight. So, I mean, you got to like that.
Well, they've predicted them to win every game, too.
Kawhi scores 40, and that whole team scores something like 85. They're going to lose. Denver's going to win.
Oh, my God. I did not see that happening.
I do.
Denver's going to win.
Well, talking about the other Western Conference team that made it, obviously the LA Lakers beating the Rockets in pretty easy fashion, and it sends the Rockets back to the drawing board once again. They're going to lose Mike D'Antoni. What do you guys see the Rockets trying to do from here? I mean, they've done everything from put Westbrook and Harden together, to getting rid of Chris Paul. That Daryl Morey is always going to tweak things around, but where do the Rockets go from here, I guess?
Logically, I think they got to sell, but a fun proposition is that they call Washington, and they see what the availability of their backcourt is, and try to work out as many firsts as they can, and see if they can't make something happen, because Washington is not looking to stay in the luxury tax, and they can just as easily sell the same players they're getting this year in a sign and trade, because at the end of the day, this Rockets experiment, it failed. And I have it's a sport, so they tried it for a half a decade. And their time to win was hampered by a hamstring injury from Chris Paul. They had a chance. I don't blame them. They've been super aggressive. How many years are you going to stay in the luxury tax with a team that absolutely, positively cannot win?
With Chris Paul on the Rockets this year, do the Rockets take the Lakers?
No.
I still don't think they do,
No.
but I think that it's a 6
Chris
or
Paul
7.
needs to go to
It's a
Giannis.
6 or 7 game series.
No.
If Chris Paul is on the team instead of Russell Westbrook.
Here's what they should,
Absolutely.
Here's what they should have done: not trade Chris Capella, their only big man, and then go against the Lakers, who have unlimited big men. Like you
don't like a 35-year-old PJ Tucker to D you
I mean,
up?
what did Robert Covington do in that series to Clint Capella? He's not like a top 10 player by any means, but he's at least athletic and a big man. Like they played the one team that you needed to have a big man against.
Yeah, I agree. I never understood why they got rid of Clint Capella in the first place. I think he's a young big, and I think he helped them out. I feel like you see PJ Tucker, you saw a lot of his stat lines where, he'd only put up like 0 points or 3 points, and then trying to have him guard guys like Anthony Davis. It's just not fair.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
guy should be playing a 3.
It was too much for him.
Yeah, it was too much for him, and it just, it's tough to build a team that's this small and win. You can't have a center who's 6'5". I mean, realistically, the Celtics have guys that are all like 6'8", it just doesn't even work.
The Rockets are a regular season team.
D'Antoni's 7-second system is a regular season thing. Look at the Phoenix Suns teams that he was the head coach of. Except for that 1 year Kobe decided he was going to prove a point and not shoot the goddamn ball. That team never, ever. They lost so many series when they were the favorites, when they had 4 All-Stars. That 7 seconds and shoot a 3 system that's only gotten worse as the game has become modern doesn't work. That alone will not win you jack. It won't win you anything in the NBA. Mike D'Antoni's system is not long for this league. I don't blame any team for being radical and trying it. The small ball thing was fun. I'm sure it was marketable. It didn't work. It's not going to work. Now you have to adjust. You have to accommodate. You have to figure out what you're going to do with new information.
It feels like the Rockets are kind of like the Red Sox. They change their strategy like every single year. It's like, this year we're going to be good at this. This year we're going to be good at that. It's like every year they kind of change their strategy of who they're going to go after. Like the three-pointer is obviously the shot. Like they play all off those metrics. Like you have to a three-pointer made, making this many amount of your threes is better than this, and it's like all analytics, and it feels like they just kind of throw it away every year and start over.
Did anyone think that Harden and Westbrook was going to work when they traded? Everyone's like, why are you doing this? Westbrook can't shoot.
We definitely didn't think it was going to work. Westbrook can't shoot at all. He shoots like 25% from 3.
Chris Paul led that Thunder team to the playoffs, and no one thought that. So
Chris Paul should receive MVP votes, and he won't.
He may have received like 1. I forget. I thought he should get some more credit than he did for this season.
Absolutely.
I think when he went there, we all thought he was going there to die, and then he went there to show that they could be a young team that could win as many games as the Rockets.
He needs to go to Giannis. I've said it for weeks. He needs to go to Giannis. That is the one player that might put them over the top. It's not on today's docket. I just think that's the right fit for him.
I feel like Chris Paul has been stopped from so many potential things. Like if
that
he
Lakers
with
trade.
The Lakers, he wins. He's got to win a championship or two if the Lakers put through that trade. So maybe joining up with Giannis in Milwaukee, you think, or are they going to join up together in Miami?
I think they have to. Oh, I would love to see that with Pat Riley, but I don't see it happening. The whole thing with Giannis, and I know we already brushed over that he unfollowed pretty much everything not nailed down to the ground or in his bloodline, but Milwaukee is quite legitimately the only American home he's ever had, and he's a very humble individual, so it worries me that he values loyalty over. He should go play for Pat Riley. If there's anybody that can build the team around him, that coach and that GM would be excellent. I love that you brought that up. I just don't see it.
I mean, I think he's going to stay in Milwaukee. I think they're going to make some trades to get him some good pieces besides Chris Middleton. I want to see Bradley Beal on the Bucks or John Wall on the Bucks. Like that Washington Wizards backcourt is probably the most available couple all-stars that they have to tear it down and rebuild.
You don't think Brooklyn's going to take those one of
they
those guys?
Certainly could, but I'll tell you what, if the Bucks actually want to win with Giannis, they can do the Brooklyn style trade that the Brooklyn gave the Celtics. They can give up those future 4 or 5 first-round picks. They can mortgage their future because the future is now. If they want to win with Giannis, they have to sell out and commit to the game.
They're not going to go to Brooklyn because, like Steve Nash getting the job's white privilege. They can't go there. No players will go there.
Players will absolutely go there.
Of course
Players
they will.
are absolutely going to go
Kevin
there.
Durant's there, of course.
John Wall doesn't help either of those teams matchup-wise because he's not a great.
He's like adding another
shooter.
Westbrook at this point.
Yeah, he's not a great
No,
enough shooter. But Bradley
don't
Beal
compare
is.
him to Westbrook.
He can't
No.
shoot.
That's fine. He's not a great shooter, but at the same time, he
But
is
those
not
teams, though.
playing out of control. He plays smart. He gets his teammates involved.
But why even trade Bledsoe for Wall? It's going to be a massive trade haul to get him, and he's not that much better for your team
I
than
think
Eric
that
Bledsoe.
Wall will go cheaper than you think, and I think the Wizards would probably actually want to just get out of it, just tank, get draft picks. Go ahead, do the NBA thing, do the trust the process thing, tank away, get some good draft picks, and move on. I think that's the move if you're their GM.
You have to trade Beal, though. You're not going to get that much for
I
John
agree with
Wall.
you, Alex. I mean, I think they've got a couple of young guys that, or a couple guys that, they're clearly a team that's looking to rebuild, and there's definitely a lot of interest in Bradley Beal. I feel like there's a lot of teams that would like to add Bradley Beal to the mix. You talk about the Lakers, you talk about the Nets, you talk about even a team like Houston. I feel like there's a lot of teams that want to add Bradley Beal to the mix, and I think that they definitely want to start over. They're kind of like a young team over there that doesn't have a whole lot going, and I think they want to strip things down and probably not pay max money to 2 of these guys. So I think there is some moves to be made, and I think that we probably will see Bradley Beal on the move. Does he go to a team like the Bucks? I don't know, because I think it's a tough sell to get guys to go to Milwaukee.
Wouldn't you much rather have
It's a
him
trade,
in LA?
though.
I'm sorry, 2 people said something.
Go ahead.
What'd you say, Frankie?
I said, wouldn't you much rather see him in LA?
Yeah, I'd much rather see him in LA. I think that's a much better story for the NBA. For the Lakers to be a top team, for the Celtics to be top teams. Those are great stories for the NBA and for us. The NBA is not holding out for a anti-Lakers, anti-Celtics finals. They definitely want the Lakers and Celtics in the
48%
finals.
of all NBA championships have been won by those 2 franchises. It's absolutely ridiculous.
If the Celtics actually, if they didn't love their boy Gordon so much, and I'm a Gordon Hayward fan. If I'm the Celtics, I package young assets. I package Gordon Hayward, and I bring Bradley Beal in to play with his little brother, Jason Tatum, probably forming one of the best. It'll be like the Warriors when they started their dynasty better.
I feel like you have to do Gordon Hayward right, though, because he's a guy that, kind of went out on a limb to come here. If you treat him like crap and just put him in some package like that, you're not making it look too good for other guys that you're going to be acquiring down the road.
But he broke his leg, and then he sprained his ankle. And I doubt that every guy that we sign is going to do that. And I'm not.
He's Brad's kid too.
He's Brad's boy. He picked him up from the airport. Look, I understand that it's like a wild, uncharacteristic act. The man broke his leg on an alley-oop attempt 3 minutes into his debut. That's not going to happen to every free agent. But if it does, you have carte blanche to release that player. Gordon Hayward has never been an all-star for us and isn't really close.
If I'm a heartless Danny Ainge,
you get rid of him.
Which he
you
is.
make.
He is.
You get rid of Gordon Hayward. You package him that contract. That is the salary matching that everyone's looking for. It's like, oh, where's the salary matching? It's going to come from Hayward. You've got picks for days. You've got young talent for days. You package it together. You bring in a guy like Bradley Beal, and then our lineups: Kemba, Bradley, Jason.
What
do you
if,
honestly think a package could exist like that?
We don't have any young talent.
All
of those
picks.
What?
Well, other
not
than
that we're trading. No,
exactly.
Romeo Langford,
other than Tatum and Brown. Okay,
what
team?
Ship Robert Williams out of town?
What team wants
for
these?
Bradley Beal?
Kevin McHale is not walking through
that
door as a GM.
All right. Let Justin talk.
No, I was just going to say, like, the package that you're talking about are the same package we gave the Timberwolves for Kevin Garnett, and we don't have those picks. The value is gone. Like this year the Grizzlies were good, and we're not. That pick means nothing.
It's still the 14th overall draft.
Exactly. We get no one's good.
Are you really going to get Bradley Beal for that? I think that's what he's saying. It's not a good enough package.
You can package Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward still has value, and then they flip Gordon Hayward to another.
How much value does Gordon Hayward have?
Can offer
I
a better
think you'll
package.
still get another first-round pick for Gordon Hayward, and I think the Celtics can offer future draft capital as well. They're built on such. Where are these players going to go eventually? You got to bundle these draft picks at some point and make a play. Otherwise, you're just going to keep drafting guys and having to let other guys walk. This roster is built to win now and in the future.
The problem is Danny Ainge has to win a deal. If he's not winning a deal, he's not trading. That's why every freaking year we have Trey Waters and these all these second-round picks. Like, get rid of them. We're the only team that has all these rookies. Like, we have the best G League in the entire league. We have so many second-round picks.
We have all the G League MVPs.
Yeah, I mean, for Christ's sakes. Like,
we got them locked up.
When was the last time we got a good second-round pick?
When's the last time any team had a good second-round pick, though? I feel like
Spurs every year.
Draymond Green.
Okay, when was Draymond Green picked? 10 years ago?
The Spurs do it every year. It seems like the Nuggets do a pretty good job of it, too. Wasn't Jokic a second-round pick?
I don't think
I'm just
so.
saying,
I'm pretty sure he was
you're going to
top
go through
15
these.
pick.
You're not going to find many guys that have lit it up.
But that's why do you have so many of them? Get rid of them.
I just don't feel like, the reason why we can't get them is because we have so many second rounders lined up or whatever. I feel like we just can't put together a good enough package for a guy like Bradley Beal.
But a couple years ago, everyone said the Celtics have the best trade assets in the league. We have all these draft picks. We have everything. Well, these draft picks, like nothing. I mean, obviously we got
They've
Tatum
turned
Brown,
into
but
two superstars
No,
that
I
we're
know.
not going to trade for anything.
But like the Grizzlies pick, you should have traded that. That actually had value at one point.
Well, we can all dissect that at some point.
Yeah.
As the Celtics go into overtime here with the Heat, Celtics up 107-106. It's a pretty tight one. What do you guys think about the Celtics' chance? I see the Celtics ultimately pulling this thing out in 6 games. What do you guys see for the Celtics as far as this series is concerned?
These Heat shooters are everywhere. Tyler Herro was hitting threes left and right, looking like Klay Thompson out there.
How good
He's
is
like
Tyler
a small?
Herro,
He's
guys?
a small
Oh,
Tatum.
my God.
I mean,
we're one pick away from getting him instead of Romeo Langford. Or who do we get instead of him? Romeo Langford? Yeah. Oh, one pick.
This team is a bunch of dogs. They play hard. They have shooters, and they're scary. I mean, I thought that the Heat's going to be a really tough out. It's definitely going 7 games.
I cannot believe that Crowder is 4 from 8 from 3. I was crapping on him before this. 4 for 8 from 3. I mean, my God.
I know no one saw it. I don't know if anyone did, but Smart at the end of the game, we're down 1, and he flopped, and we got a free throw.
Yep.
And then we went to overtime.
Unbelievable.
Winning play.
Marcus Smart or Jimmy Butler? Marcus Smart all day.
God.
Oh, my God. You're on crack.
You realize that the whole reason that we needed that point was because Jimmy Butler
hit a
step back 30-foot shot.
It was actually from the corner, but still
28-foot
equally
shot.
heartbreaking. Look, Marcus Smart is a gamer. He's a winner.
He's a flopper.
For my
putting
money,
up
he's the defensive player of the year.
I'd love it if he didn't
He's
shoot
the
this
defensive
quarter.
player of the year in your mind?
In my
No
mind.
way.
For what he's brought to this
over
team.
Anthony
with no
Davis. You
big
think
man.
he's a better defender than
guarding
Anthony
him.
Davis?
He's not a better defender overall than Anthony Davis, but 1 through 5, what he gives you at 6'3", 6'4", I mean, he's not that big a guy, and he's D'ing up centers and power forwards. When have we ever seen a guard his size do that? He's breaking barriers on what we've seen guards do defensively.
Gary Payton.
Those players are also much smaller today than they were back then. That's why you are able to see it.
Thank you for shooting out the Gary Payton.
I'd still take Patrick Beverly over him, especially the contract, too.
The contract
agree.
absolutely
I'll
should
second
come into
that.
play. Yep.
I'll take Pat Bev, Mr. 94 feet.
He also only shoots twice a game, which is great. But then again, Smart's shooting
well tonight, but that's going to give him confidence to keep shooting. 12 three-point shots, I don't like that, but he's made 6 of them tonight, so it works. But usually he's not on that end of the spectrum.
I think Tice just fouled out.
Oh, boy.
Sure did.
Robbie Williams.
Oh, no. Why are we bringing in Brad Wanamaker? What?
Oh, God. Anyone but Brad Wanamaker. Anyone but Brad Wanamaker.
Why?
So, I mean, what do you guys think is who do you if we have to rank the players in this series, how do you guys rank them kind of talent-wise? You know, if it's me, I'm saying Tatum is the most talented player in the series. I'd say Kemba is the second most talented player in the series. And then I think you're getting into Bam Adebayo, and then you're getting into obviously Brown and Butler.
I disagree. I'd actually give Jimmy Butler the number 2 spot, if we're talking best player right now to win a game, I'd probably go Butler. Like right now, just the grit, his veteran status, everything he's been through. Tatum versus Butler. I mean, Butler's just a dog, and he's a winner. Tatum's definitely more talented, though. If we're actually going talent, he's more talented. I think that Tatum is definitely more talented. Kemba, potentially more talented than Butler in his prime. But, yeah, I mean, I think Butler, then Bam, and Hero. I mean, he's coming on strong. I think he's nipping at the heels of Jaylen Brown for probably like the 5th most talented guy in this series.
I think if Kemba's healthy, he is number 2, but he's clearly not.
Yeah.
So he's probably like number 5. He's definitely behind Brown and Butler. He's probably number 4.
Butler's 1, Tatum's 2, Brown is 3.
How is Butler 1?
Hold on. Bam is 4,
no.
and then Kemba's 5. There you go.
Oh, no.
How is Bam 4? Was that your question?
I just don't get how Butler's number 1 out of that. I think
Butler is not the most talented player. Alex hit the nail on the head. Butler's not the most talented, but who's closer
that's
to
what
winning?
my question was.
Who's closer to winning you a game in this series? Jimmy Butler is going to win you more games, make more winning plays than Jason Tatum will. He's number 1 on that list.
I agree with you. He hit the 3. Jason Tatum took a stupid shot to end the game.
An awful 3. And for the record, he's eventually going to make that. I'm not mad.
So
at
if
Jason
you're
Tatum for taking
drafting,
that.
so if you guys were drafting this series, you would take Jimmy Butler over Jason Tatum.
This series, yes. The rest of their careers, no.
You guys are crazy. You would take Jimmy Butler over Tatum?
Listen,
what he means to the team? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Put Jason Tatum on the Heat, and they are not
Jason
here.
Tatum has 30, 12, and 5 right now.
Put
He's
Jason
got
Tatum on the
steals
Heat.
He's also taking these dumb shots. Like, why are you taking fadeaway 3s?
And the Heat are up by 3 now.
He's shooting 50% from the field. I don't get it.
2 minutes to go. 2 minutes to go. Let's see. If Tatum wins this game, he'll shut us all up.
He sure won't shut me up.
Give the damn ball to Kemba.
Nothing shuts me up.
We know. So, I mean, with that being said, I mean, let's talk about the Celtics getting to the finals here. You guys think that they're
baby?
It rests on Kemba Walker. This has to be a Kemba series. They can't really stop us defensively, but I do think they have a matchup wise, they have a relative ability to stop Tatum and Brown. I know I sound silly because Tatum is A, great, and B, has 30 points already. But I think if we're going to win this game, particularly not in 7, then Kemba Walker has to play well. He has to dominate that matchup because he's better than Dragic or Nunn or anybody that's going to be guarding him while Jimmy Butler is guarding Tatum and Brown.
Well, Dragic has looked pretty good lately, and he's looked pretty good tonight. But I definitely think that Kemba needs to have a big series. Do you think he can with the knee?
Yes, I do. Because I think that the defense at the point guard position for the Heat has been their Achilles heel all year. And I have to think that Kemba's got enough. Besides high pick and roll, Kemba to Brown, Kemba to Tatum, that switch will be deadly, no matter how bad his knee is.
And right now, if you're the Celtics, you got to like the fact that you've held Jimmy Butler to 17 points. You know, do you think that they can continue to kind of keep him in check?
I mean, I don't think Jimmy Butler only has like a breakout game every once in a while. If you look at the box scores during this playoffs, he's not he's not averaging 20 points a game. He has a couple games where he lights it up, but this team overall is just fundamentally sound. They play the right way. They look for the open guy. I wish the Celtics would do that in overtime instead of playing iso basketball with Jason Tatum.
Right.
Because that's when we lose.
And that's what's hurting us right now. I think Kemba's guilty of it at times too. It's tough. You got to walk that fine line. You know, you got to let your guys go. You got to let your players play and let them go and have that ability to go make that spectacular superstar-esque play.
In the first quarter, when we got up the big lead, it was because we were passing the ball and getting the open shot.
Like crazy. It
and
was
then,
awesome.
Then we started
Ball
doing
movement
ISO
was
basketball,
unreal.
and then they came back. And we do it every single game.
Yep.
ISO basketball is much more fun when you're as talented as Jason Tatum. My problem is that he's shooting from so far away. Go to the basket, my friend. They can't stop you. Not even Jimmy Butler can stop you. Why are you taking fadeaway threes? Don't get me wrong. Over the course of a 48-minute game, take as many of those as you want. Right now, in nut-cutting time, you should be going to the basket and making them foul you. Make them play defense. It doesn't make sense to me that you're letting them off the hook. He had 6 seconds.
Guess who just did that, Frank? Jimmy Butler did.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He took a 30-foot shot. We had 11 seconds on the clock after the free throw. He dribbled it for 6 seconds and then took a 30-foot shot.
If I'm the Celtics, though, I got to like my chances, though, with Jay Crowder scoring 22 in this one and Dragic scoring 29 in this one. I don't think either of those players is going to touch anything like that for the rest of this series.
I mean, Jay Crowder set wide open shots all night, like no one's even guarding him, which I understand why. But like these Tatum,
yeah, he was on this team. They know the deal.
Oh my God, dude, stop doing this.
I actually want to see more of that. Again, isolation basketball is great when you have a star. It looks bad now. The man is young. Kobe shot 3 air balls in a playoff game. Are you going to tell me you don't want Kobe taking that shot? I want Tatum making that shot or taking that shot because he's got to learn.
Right.
I hope it doesn't hurt me as a fan this year, but for him to get those growing pains, those lumps,
I just still can't believe you'd rather take Jimmy Butler over Tatum. My mind doesn't get. I still don't get that.
Who do you want to take a shot at the end of the game, Kemba or Tatum? I want Kemba to shoot it.
Me too.
I'd rather have
Tatum shoot that.
No way. I'd rather Tatum than Kemba. I haven't seen much of a clutch
What are you
shooting
talking
factor.
about? In the Toronto
Kemba's been
series?
terrible for the past, and he's not healthy. I'd rather right now have Tatum than Kemba, hands down.
At the end of every first half in the Toronto series, they went down and Kemba shot and won it every single time.
That's
nice little silky tube. It's not a fact. But he did have. But
I think you're making that up.
In important moments, he had little floaters in the paint to stop runs. I would argue he stopped more runs last series than Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum obviously blew him off the court in terms of overall production. But in terms of they're on an 8-0 run and we don't take a selfish shot, we get right to the basket, get to the free throw line, stop the run. More of those plays were made by Kemba.
I just still can't
And
believe
that-
you'd rather
Kemba
have
just said
Butler
it.
over
Let's
Tatum.
That also just looks like Kemba.
Kemba
exactly.
with a step back to
Somebody
take a
tell you.
1-point lead.
Somebody
Kemba.
call Pitsnoggle from Notre Dame and
23
ask him if he
seconds.
can stop
Step
Kemba
back
Walker.
Kemba shot is unguardable.
Celtics need one stop.
It's
to win
guardable
this
if he has
game.
bad knees. That's my one concern with Kemba. That's got to be all of our concerns with Kemba. That shot is money, but can he really play 30 minutes? He has looked rough. I just said I'd rather have it in his hands than Tatum, and I would look at it. But for 40 minutes, it's been rough to watch him play.
I can't wait till Gordon Hayward's back. I mean, I really.
What do you do in that situation when Gordon Hayward does come back? Do you ease him off the bench?
Off
I mean,
the bench if you're
it's
smart.
me,
Use
I'm
him
going
off
to
the
use him
bench.
off the bench.
Perfect
Bring him in.
second team leader.
He should have been coming off the bench the whole time.
That's my fear. He's
Everyone's-
always
yeah.
should have been coming off the bench, and he might not even now.
I just don't see it.
Obviously-
You're
I
not
can't
going to
see
send
him
Marcus
start
Smart back to the bench at this point.
you can't.
As much as I'd like to.
him. Hayward's got to know his role. Brad's got to know Hayward's role.
Thank you.
It would be bad for the team if they start.
Having Smart run the second team is like everyone's nightmare because that means
Everyone's
he's taking all
nightmare.
the shots.
It's terrible. He plays way better off the first team guys.
Exactly.
Also, don't you, and I hate to imply that Gordon Hayward is soft, but don't you want to see him against the other team's second team? Don't you want to see a little bit of the focus and expectations get taken off of him just while he's getting healthy so that he can play a more relaxed brand of basketball? Wouldn't that be better for him?
Yeah, the second team guys, they don't go after his knees or anything. So let's keep him. Let's keep coming off the second team.
Well,
He's just a leader. He knows how to pass and shoot.
And when you have guys that are coming off the second team like Brad Wanamaker, he's going to look like a freaking all-star next to him. They could definitely use a punch off the bench.
If we just stay within our system,
We took Kemba out for Brad Wanamaker.
good, because it's a defensive possession. But if we just play within
put
our
Ojale
system
out
and
there.
Gordon Hayward can shoot open jump shots within the flow of our offense, we'll be fine. That's one thing that's really underrated me about, or that's really bothered me about Gordon Hayward since he's gotten here, is that we have tried to run the offense through him a little bit too much rather than let him be a spot-up shooter. He's not the same all-star that he was in Utah, but he is always going to be a highly skilled shooter and a knockdown, dead-eye shooter.
Here we go. Jimmy Butler on Tatum for the
Good
game.
game.
Oh, Butler.
Easy.
Wait, did they
we
just call that foul?
we got headphones on here.
Are we breaking copyright laws? Is this too
I
much?
think we are.
Yeah, I think this is a little too much. We should try to also talk as well, not just do the game. But
Apologies.
no. But I mean, it looks it's a little bit tough here with Miami up 116 to 114.
And another point there. Jimmy Butler did that. I wish Jason Tatum would do that instead of taking a fadeaway three.
Make them guard you. It's something that LeBron ruined in the NBA because he likes to take shots that he only shoots in practice during game-winning opportunities. If LeBron would freight train his way to the basket,
He needs to save his energy. He's like 35. That's like old LeBron.
Sure, but he's always chosen to fade away rather than freight train. What you need during these times, even in a league where making 1 out of every 3 3-pointers is more important than making 2 out of every 4 2-pointers or whatever the hell the math is, you still need to go to the free throw line and make them play defense. You're letting teams off the hook when you're fading away in a high-pressure situation.
Yeah, but I thought you just said you like that.
I like
because you want him to take his lumps.
I like isolation basketball, and I don't mind him having the balls to take it. That doesn't mean that a 32-foot fadeaway shot is better than him going to the basket. I'm all for whatever helps him get his place as a top 5 player in this league. But that doesn't mean he's doing it as smart as humanly possible right now. I'm a fan of
I think
isolation
it's clear that
basketball.
he's not doing it as smart as he possibly could be.
Yeah,
Should be
very
driving a lot more.
Yep.
But
Take it to the hoop.
and
Take it to the rack.
it looks a lot better when he's going to the rack. So, and then everything just kind of gets flowing for him when he's doing that.
Also, everything gets flowing for the team. What's missing from our team right now is Kemba Walker's knee hurts. He's not driving and dishing as well. And that Tatum has become such a good isolation player and step-back three-point shooter that he is failing to go to the basket as often as he should. What is the statistic? He's got 7 free throws a game.
So what are we thinking is going to happen here? Who's taking it? I'm guessing it's going to be Tatum.
High pick and roll.
I do a high pick and roll. Throw it to Jaylen Brown in the corner. He'll hit the 3.
I don't know if I want that, but that'll be there if we want
He's
it.
been money.
It'll be there if we want it.
Watch Marcus Smart hit the 3.
Again, we apologize
All right.
for not bringing
Yeah,
more
this-
original content.
Yeah,
Well,
again,
it's 10
let's stop
seconds.
doing this. So anyway,
Oh
I mean,
my God.
what?
That's a tough loss. All right, look, we're down 0-1. And I got to be honest, I was going to say it's going to be a 5-game series. I might have to push that back to a 6 or 7-game series. I still don't see us losing to the Miami Heat 4 games and 7 tries. But they played well tonight, and I'm not surprised. They have one dog. They have a perfect bubble team. They have an assortment of three-point shooters.
Yeah, and when you get 29 from Dragic, 22 from Crowder, and 20 from Butler, with 18 from Adebayo, I mean, you're just you got to be able to cut some of the bleeding on guys like Dragic and Crowder. I mean, those guys showed out tonight, and we're up around 40 minutes. Jimmy Butler playing in for 43 minutes, and then you got Tyler Herro coming off the bench killing things with 11 rebounds and 9 assists. So he was just majorly effective off the bench. But I think the Celtics can definitely come back in this one. I think Kemba, we didn't see him shoot too effectively. Jaylen Brown, we didn't see him shoot too effectively. And then you got nothing really off the bench. So I think Gordon Hayward's going to be coming back to this team, and I think that's going to do a good amount. But I also think the Celtics just have more talent, than the Heat do if you're drafting for this series. So I think talent trumps in the NBA, and I think the Celtics will come back. But it's a tough pill to swallow here after Game 1.
Definitely tough pill to
I think
swallow.
the X factors here are Bam Adebayo and Kemba Walker. I think if Bam is the best big man on the court, we're going to struggle to rebound. And I think Daniel Tice fouling out will become a regularity rather than an anomaly. But I think if Kemba Walker dominates that matchup, if Goran Dragic doesn't score 30 points a game and we neutralize Chris Nunn, who I think is overrated to begin with, I think we'll be fine. I think Kemba Walker, whether he's healthy or not, needs to win that matchup because I have very little faith that Tice is going to outplay Bam in any game this series.
This is a tough
Zero
Heat
faith.
team. This is a very, very, very tough Heat team. And it's going to be a tough series. The Celtics are going to grow up a lot in this series, just like they did against the Raptors. And I'm excited to see it. I mean, even if we don't get the championship this year, this is a building block. We have to have these sort of trials and tribulations to go through to get to that point where we're going to win a title. I don't think anyone really believes we're going to be able to beat either LA team in the finals.
You mean Denver?
But
Let me ask you this. Do you take any stock in the fact that they had some of those tough wins against the Raptors, that they like that championship medal? Do you guys kind of take stock in the fact that those extra games will help the Celtics moving forward?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it undoubtedly will.
You have to get to the finals this year. This is like the Bruins last year. It was an easy, like I'm not saying beating the Raptors hard, but you didn't have to go through Milwaukee. Like Bruins didn't have to go through Tampa last year.
Or Washington.
You have to get to the finals this year.
I agree. This is the year. There's no excuses. No excuses for not making the finals.
It's a loss if you don't get to the finals.
Because it's going to get tougher next year. You're going to have teams like the Nets.
Yeah,
You're going to have teams like the Warriors that come back. I mean, there's going to be teams that come back and restock, and this path is not going to be as easy as it was this year. So I totally agree with you that you've got to make the push this year while you can.
If you lost to the Bucks, there would be an excuse, but you have to get there.
I can argue that in the last 2 series, they haven't had the better coach or more winning quotient. I mean, you just knocked off the defending champs, granted without Kawhi, and now you have a team with an absolute dog. Like, I'm sorry to keep going over it. Jimmy Butler's an absolutely winning basketball player. He's overrated when you talk about, he's a top 15, top 18, but at a per-game basis, he wins you games. He makes winning plays that don't show up in the box score. On top of
winning plays. We're going to get back to that with
not if you're talking
not a stat that doesn't exist.
Not if actually, if you go into analytics, there's DVOA. There's plenty of stats that let you know how many wins a player is worth. And Jimmy Butler is worth a tremendous amount of wins, and you can see it. It's nut-cutting time. He shows up in the playoffs in a way that and I don't think that we're not going to. I just think we're not there yet. And that doesn't mean I think we're going to lose. It just means that, like I said, in the last 2 series, the other team has had the better coach. They've had more players who are used to winning in big spots. That doesn't mean that we haven't been the more talented team, because I think we have. And that's why we should win anyway.
Well, on that note, that's going to do it for us here on Open Season on this Tuesday, this 1.5-hour edition. Hopefully we'll be cranking out some more of these moving forward, but we appreciate everyone tuning in, and we'll catch you next week, next Tuesday. We'll see you then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just not sure that Kyler Murray is big enough. This is Tom Brady. He's not just going to retire. Whitey, big fan of the show. Appreciate I've got Brian Murphy to my left, making sure everything's smooth.